A Tory MP has been suspended by the party following bizarre claims that he misused campaign cash to pay what he called some bad people who were supposedly keeping him prisoner. Mark Menzies reportedly made a late-night call to an elderly local aide demanding £5,000 as a matter of, quote, life and death. The sum, which rose by another £1,500, was transferred by his office manager the next morning before being reimbursed from donor funds. The filed MP denies the accusation, but the Conservative Party is investigating, and last night he resigned the whip. And what that means is that he will sit in the Commons as an independent, and that's yet another cut to Rishi Sunak's majority. Well, look, his majority is not a particular problem. It's not like it's, you know, he only had a majority of 3 and now it's gone down and it's that edgy. But what this is just an incredibly unhelpful, embarrassing scandal, hot on the heels of other incredibly unhelpful, embarrassing scandals at a time when Rishi Sunak is already massively on the back foot. And what I think is really interesting about this, apart from the scandal itself, which is completely extraordinary. I mean, this is a guy who 10 years ago was in similar sorts of trouble. There was a story 10 years ago, well reported. He had got into a great deal of hot water after a Brazilian male escort did a kiss and tell on him. This is a guy with quite a complex and colourful private life, I think it's fair to say. And the Tories seem to have been quite happy to overlook some of that in the past, all the while, by the way, having an entire operation in their head office trying to dig dirt on candidates for other political parties.
Like Angela Rayner.
I mean, so that's one thing. But what I think is the bigger picture here, which is fascinating to me as a political anorak, is that this is part, or seems to be part, of a concerted operation from inside the Conservative Party to destabilise Rishi Sunak. And I think it is building up to the local elections in a couple of weeks' time when there will be a move against Rishi Sunak. And I had not realised that this is part of a wider orchestrated campaign, but that is what I've...
In whose interest would that be then? In the interest of the sort of the Trussites?
Exactly that. In the interest of those so-called new Conservatives, or whatever it is they call themselves, that think that actually, look, in some kamikaze way, it's better to try to get rid of Sunak sooner than later and try to minimise the losses.
Can I ask, though, with this, just very quickly, James, I was just going to say, the thing is with this guy, we are always told, you know, it seems we're told, you know, what people do in their private life is up to them, if it's legal and consenting. I think this guy's as grubby as hell, frankly. I do have a view on that.
Thank you for being blunt about that, because I completely agree with you.
Yeah, and I'm sorry. And also, the money bid, you know, the 5,000 quid he was being held to get... The next day he asked for 35,000 quid because he wanted to pay some medical bills. What the hell is wrong with the man?
But hang on a second.
And just finally, James, hang on, 'cause I haven't finished yet.
They're not medical, though, are they? You know, I think we all know what's being...
medical bill. And, of course, 4 years ago, you mentioned the 2014 case with the Brazilian rent boy who sang like a canary. But it was about 4 years ago when he was in trouble for getting his neighbour's dog drunk.
Yes,
and the dog had to go to the vets because this poor thing was intoxicated.
I think there are a couple of aspects...
You better make this good, James.
Yeah, well, what I want to know is why the Conservative Party, who were told about this 3 months ago, did nothing until the Times then splashed it and reported it publicly. And this shows that there is a problem within the Conservative Party. And I agree with you about conduct, that it's not that we are looking almost into people's private lives. I dare say everybody's private life's got something interesting or fascinating about it somewhere. But if you are an MP, there are certain rules and conduct and expectations that we have, I think, as the public on how you behave. And I think there are a lot of people up and down the country who haven't gone to Brazilian escorts, haven't necessarily got their neighbour's dog drunk, and hasn't necessarily misunderstood how to get funds and where to get them from. And obviously, one must say that obviously he's denied all the allegations against him. But 3 months ago, people in HQ knew about this, and they did nothing. That says more about the problems about the Conservative Party than about this particular individual and his conduct.
There is, just very quickly, there is some good news for Rishi Sunak.
Oh.
Only joking. It's terrible news. It's another poll that's put the Tories at a record low, 19%. Ipsos pollsters described it as the lowest party, the lowest the party has ever polled in 45 years of surveying. Labour at 44%. Reform is only slightly behind the Conservatives at 13%, so that's encouraging for Reform. Rishi Sunak's satisfaction rating is joint worst of any Tory or Labour leader. And in fact, the Labour lead on every significant part, defence, immigration, etc., including Brexit.
But it's no surprise. The Tories have become the party of sleaze. This guy, as you say, 3 months ago they knew about it, they did nothing. Now they've taken the whip off him. What about Willie Ragg? What about him? He was literally putting the country at risk, a security risk, by handing out people's phone numbers to someone he doesn't actually know or claims to know.
I agree.
And he didn't have that taken off him. It's a complete double standard.
I don't think it is sleaze, though, predominantly. I mean, there's lots of...
Well, this is sleazy.
But I think that it's just ineptitude. I think it's
incompetence.
Complete.
And a lack of management. And as you say, a party tearing itself to pieces.
But the crass hypocrisy of this, the brazen hypocrisy, they have a whole operation raking over Reform UK's party candidates. These are not people, these are just ordinary people, not elected members of the Houses of Parliament. And for them to be doing that, I just find unbelievable.
Correct.